You are now tuned into Armor Up Athletics, hosted by Phillip, Leviner, and Matt Quinn.
Good evening, everybody. It is Armor Up Athletics, Episode 3, titled Strength in the Struggle. My name is Matt Quinn. I am here with Phillip Leviner. What's going on, Phillip?
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing?
We're in football season, baby. We're here. We'll get to some of that. We've got some special guests joining us later. But, just like always, we'll start off with some devotions, some verses, some encouragement as we go through this thing, man. But I do want to give a shout out before we get started, man. Through our Facebook page, we have reached 29,000 plus people through our Facebook page, interactions, views on Facebook videos, and things like that. And truly mind blown, Phillip. Did not expect that to happen, especially by episode 3.
Now that was a big number, right? We said if we reached 1, we were going to be satisfied, and to see 29,000 show up is a mind-boggling number, especially only after 2 episodes. So you guys seem to be getting something from this, and that's the Lord moving through us. So keep watching, keep liking, keep sharing. And let's see how many souls we can reach and how many people we can help.
Yeah, that's what it's about. I could care less how many of those 29,000 people look at me. I hope they're listening and hear some of the things that we're saying. But I'm not necessarily the person to look at. They say I've got a face for radio, I think is what the saying is.
Come on now. Nice cheekbones.
Yeah. Well, again, title, episode 3, Strength in the Struggle. I think this resonates with, obviously, athletes and coaches, but, everybody. We all go through struggles in life. We go through things that get us down. We go through temptation. We go through struggles daily. Whether they're big or small, doesn't matter. We've got to find strength in that struggle. So I've got 2 verses and a few words I want to say, and then I'll turn it over to Phillip just like always. The first verse, one of my favorites, one of the ones that, we've used in the sports world forever, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. When times get tough, when you're going through something, when you're facing a battle that seems like you cannot win, I turn to Philippians 4:13 and just lean on that verse because knowing that Christ is with me, knowing that he's going to be there for me no matter what I'm going through. So Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. My second verse is James 1, verses 2 through 4. And it reads, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." And then the sports connection there, obviously Armor Up Athletics, I try to tie everything into sports. That's my life, and I know Phillip is the same way. But every athlete, coach, person, even if you're not into sports, I hope you still listen and tune in, especially for the devotional part. But we go through long practices in the heat. We go through the workouts. We go through the pain. We go through the interceptions, the fumbles. Like, we have interceptions in life. We have fumbles in life. We go through those things. And those 2 verses kind of remind us that, when we fight through those battles, we come out on the other side stronger than when we started. And I don't think God puts anything on you that you can't get through with him. So the spiritual tie-in, life with Jesus is the same way. Same as going through that tough fourth quarter when you're down 2 scores. We'll get to that, Phillip. I love that story. But life with Jesus is the same way. God doesn't promise us an easy season. He promises strength in the middle of it. He will give us strength. He will be there for us. He doesn't say, hey, life's going to be easy. Hey, this game's going to be easy. This opponent's going to be easy. No, the devil's not an easy opponent. Okay, so he reminds us that he's going to be there for us. He's going to give us strength to get through it, but he's not promising that it's going to be easy. Philippians 4:13 reminds us that our strength doesn't come from ourselves. It comes from Christ on days when we feel like we can't go another rep, when we can't go to another day of work, when we can't find a way out of the current situation that we're in. We have to find strength in God. And then the James 1, 2 through 4 reminds us that struggles aren't wasted. Okay, you go through some things, you may take an L, and I've always told my teams when we take an L doesn't stand for loss, it stands for learning. So we learn through those things, and we get stronger through those things. So what feels like pressure today, is producing power for tomorrow. You're getting stronger in your faith, stronger in your word, and putting that strength and putting that on God.
Man, those are some great verses. I know me and you talked this week. We even shared those, or you shared those with me. As you know, I had a really tough week this week, kind of the devil coming against me and doing some of those same things. So man, those were on point, Matt. All good words. Mine, I used mine in a video earlier this week. I'm gonna stick with them. I thought they were really good. Exodus 14:14 says, "The Lord fights for you. You need only to be still." I know a lot of times in life as humans, we feel like we need to fight. You know, we got to stand up and fight. When we're on the ball field, it's just a constant fight. Sometimes you got to let the Lord fight those battles for you. You got to find strength with Him, and the way you find that strength is just be still. Just find a place and get to that still point, and let the Lord tell you what He's trying to do for you, and let Him fight for you. And I really, really had to get into that this week myself, and kind of get out of my own way and let the Lord kind of take control and let Him fight some of these battles for me. My other one was Jeremiah 29:11. "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." I think in sports, a lot of things are measured in wins and losses, right? That's kind of the way the world looks at it. But prosper and hope and winning is not always about wins and losses. The Lord has a plan for us. Sometimes you're going to lose. Sometimes you're going to win. I think it goes back to that old saying, is how you play in the game, right? How are you playing your game? Are you playing it in the right manner? Are you getting up doing the right things? Are you putting your right foot forward? Are you putting it in God's hands and doing it for the right reasons? You may not get the win. Like you said, you may have to take that L. And like you said, you're going to have to learn from that. But you have to know that there's plans to prosper you and not to harm you. The Lord's not against you. He's with you. But He's not going to always put you on top. You're not going to always raise the championship trophy. But you do have to find that there's a hope in there and there's a future for you. You may have to take that L now, but down the road, if you trust in Him, you may lift that trophy. You may get to where you want to get. So those are my two verses this week, man. And we talk about strength in the struggle. Never been more true this week. I don't know what it is. I think when you try to grow closer to God, the devil's there with his deceptions, his distractions, his disillusions, everything you can think of. He's standing right there. And I don't know that I've been challenged so hard, or if the roadblocks haven't become more in front of me than the last few weeks that I've really been trying to step out there more for God and listen to God more. And that just proves it. That just proves the whole theory. The devil doesn't want me on God's side. He doesn't want you on God's side. He doesn't want anybody on God's side. God, the funny thing is, I think the devil can sometimes move that draft pick up for God. At one time I was the number one draft pick for the devil, and now he sees that me going, maybe me hitting the portal, so to speak, and going over here. He knows what he's losing, and he's throwing a lot of things at you, and you have to find strength in the Bible, strength in His Word, faith, and that's where that strength in the struggles come in for me, man.
Yeah, for sure. Strength in the struggle hit home for me here recently with things going on in my life with the coaching world and the jobs and St. Andrews shutting down, and went through a struggling time, and now when it all happened, you're like, why? But now I look at it and I'm like, I know why now. Like, God was leading me to something else. I wanted to coach in college, and I wanted to, and I'm not saying that's not still a goal of mine, but it wasn't the right timing. I had to go through that struggle to get stronger. And personally, I've gotten stronger in my faith. I've gotten to the point where I can get on a platform like this and share my faith, where 6 months ago, I would have been like, man, you're crazy if you think I'm getting on there and talking like that in front of all these people, and letting 30,000 people see me like this. No. But now it's something that I've learned from. We went through it, and I've always said, if God puts you through it, He can get you through it. So it's a fitting message. With the start of football season, some teams going through struggles, some teams that are finding their way and learning instead of losing, they're learning. So I felt that it was fitting. And then obviously me and you talked this week, and some of the things that we both talk about on a daily basis. When I was trying to come up with an episode title for this one, I was like, ran across a devotion called Strength in the Struggle. And I said, man, that's it. That's what we're doing. And it's a perfect timing of this season with football too.
And if you don't believe God's in it, we don't plan these topics. They come to us, right? Me and you we were literally trying to pick out a topic. Like we were trying to find something, and we couldn't. And then all of a sudden, you just found that out of the blue. And that's what I love about this right now, man. And it's fun. It's uplifting. And I'm like you, 6 months ago, a year ago, this wouldn't have been even a consideration. And to tell you how God moves in his time and how it works. The old saying was a minor setback for a strong comeback. And I think we're both on the kind of similar paths. Because when things happen to us, again, we measure our lives and everything else like wins and losses, success and failure, right? We want to be successful. We want to be successful not only for our families, but for ourselves. We do get a little selfish as human beings, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But you also have to understand that with success, there's always the ability to fail. One thing I did say that in my life I'll never look back and regret is taking the shot. I've took the shot. I've took chances, right? I've gambled. But I think I did that with my family in mind. And I think if I, now that I start doing it with God in mind as well, I think my shots will start going in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I missed a couple because I took them for myself. And now if I put God in the mix, maybe he can guide that 3-pointer on in for me. You know what I'm saying? So, everything like we talk about, sports, life, it goes hand in hand. And I love getting on here and talking to you, Matt, because it's a great feeling to kind of have somebody to relate those things to. My kids hear it all the time. Like I have a sports analogy for everything. Anything they do, I got an analogy. I can break it back to sports.
Well, I think, obviously we both love sports, but I think sports, and this is why I kind of got into PE in the sports world, is because it teaches you so many life lessons through the game of athletics, football, whatever, basketball, soccer, whatever it is. There's so many life lessons in sports that we can relate back to people. And even if people are viewing or watching and have never played a sport or don't know the ins and outs of football that we're talking or whatever, I still think the message resonates with people because of the analogies and the sports analogies. And really, I'm hoping that, some of the athletes start watching and the coaches that have tuned in and have reached out to me. I hope that this is impacting them because it's something that you and I don't take lightly. It's not something that I do, again, just to come on here and spread a bunch of videos and stuff. Like we mean what we say and we're trying. Now, are we going through struggles? Absolutely. Yeah, we both are. We both are going through things daily. We're both going through things in our walk with Christ, and we're trying to get better every single day. And we are growing. But it's just something that I'm really proud of, man. I don't know if I ever thought that, like I said, that 30,000 people would be touching this Facebook page and these videos, but I'm proud of it. And it's not me, it's not Phillip, it's God using us to share this message. So I love it, man, and I appreciate you for helping me out with this thing too.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Like, and all the feedback that we get from people watching, it's been amazing. This week to run into people in the streets now and tell us what a good thing that we're doing, and I take that, but I also leave them with that's God doing that. That's not us, right? I don't want to take credit for God's movement and get in the way of what the message we're trying to put out there.
Yeah,
we're two faces on the screen, but we hope when you watch these episodes that one, you get a testimony out of it, that you get some faith and spiritual out of it, and then maybe not always listen to us when we're picking games either. So
yeah. Speaking of picking games, we'll switch gears and get into high school football games from last week. We had, we called out 5 games. Me and you both picked a quote game of the week. The first one, you've got the hat on. I know you're proud. I know you're happy. Cheraw over McBee, 48-7. Took care of business. I do think that, Cheraw's really good, and we're going to hear from some of their coaches here in a little bit. I don't think that McBee is that bad. I think that Cheraw's really good. I think McBee in their region play, they're going to be just fine, and they're going to represent Chesterfield County. But I think that was a tough matchup for them to start off with. The second one, which I picked, is the game of the week. Chesterfield and Johnsonville. Johnsonville came to the battlegrounds and spoiled Coach Dixon's home opener 34-20. What I did see and what I did like and hearing the stories and seeing the highlights, at the start of the fourth quarter, I believe it was 34-7.
Yeah.
What I did see was a Chesterfield team that didn't quit. They kept
Right.
battling. They scored a couple touchdowns there in the fourth quarter to kind of make it more respectable. And I think that's going to lead into some momentum for them going into the second week of the season for them.
Very resilient there. Very resilient team.
Yeah.
That was big for them to stay in that fight, man.
Yeah, and that's something I learned last year. Coaching over there, those kids in that community, it's just something about them. Like they don't quit, they won't stop.
Yep.
So I love that about those guys, and I know Coach Dixon's going to bounce back in the second game of the season.
Yep.
The third game that we called out, Central and Louisville. Central took care of business, 12-0. On a sore for Sean night, they were honoring Sean Davis, so that was a good win for them to get that 12-0 win over Louisville.
Yeah, that was a good one. I know that was tough for them too, but to pull out that win was awesome for them.
Yeah. It and we talked about it before, and I think episode 1 was like they're going to have number 5 with them all season. So I'm just glad that they are rallying with that, and had the sore for Sean Knight, and the first time they truly took the field in game action without their teammate and without their brother. So glad they could come out on top. Coach Eason does a great job. The third one, Darlington County rivalry, Darlington versus Lamar. Darlington wins that game 22-14. Jamie Johnson and those guys over there are doing a phenomenal job.
Yep. Yes, they are, man.
To beat a program like Lamar, perennial contender. I know they're a little bit smaller classification, but football's football, baby.
Lamar's a dog program. They've been like that for a long time. That's a good win.
yeah. There's no doubt. And then the final one, which was your pick for game of the week, Scotland Dillon. Scotland wins 36-33.
Did not let me down either. That was a good one. I know you and I talked the night after the win and some yesterday. Exciting win. Kind of got counted out there at the end. Like maybe Dillon was going to pull one out, and then the miracle of miracles happen. You get some good bounces, and that's football, man, right? And then you take advantage of it. And two great teams battling it out. That was awesome, man, to see that. But I'm super glad for you. I was pulling for you. I mean, I had nothing against Dillon and Kelvin and those guys over there, but I was really glad to see you guys get that win. I know the Scotland fans, the ones who stayed, were happy.
that was crazy, and we talked about it. Like there was some people leaving. I mean, and I've been guilty of it at other games before. Leave it. I mean, it is, you try to beat traffic or whatever, but one thing I can tell you about this Scotland team, and take me out of the picture. I know I got the Block S on tonight, but take me out of the picture. That was if I was just a fan, that was one of the funnest and most energetic high school football games I've seen. It was two really good teams playing against each other and battling to the very end. Now we did go through some struggle, which strengthened the struggle. Like we kept faith. We battled. We got down by 2 scores with 4 minutes left in the game and scored, and then recovered an onside kick and scored with 10 seconds left in the game. And I don't want to get on here and talk about Scotland, but I want to shout out Mike McLean, like the freshman running back at Scotland. He's already picked up a UNC Chapel Hill offer before he even played his first varsity game. And now, after watching his first varsity game, I see what they saw. I mean, you don't see too many big boy football teams putting a freshman in the game at the 1 yard line with 9 seconds left to win the ball game against Dillon, of all people.
Right.
And he put his head down and got in the end zone. So super proud of those kids and super proud, obviously, of my team. But again, it's not about me. But I do think you picked a great game of the week.
I did. I did. Before we move on from high school sports, Matt, I do want to give a shout out to the MacB community. They did have a tragic loss over there. 15-year-old girl, Annabelle, was in a car wreck and passed away. So we want to send love and prayers to the MacB community and that family, man. That's such a good family. I know some of those guys really well. So prayers up for them. So.
Yeah, it's tough to lose a classmate, to lose somebody that you see every day in the hallways. Praying for those guys, praying for the coaches, the teachers, the staff, the friends, the family. Tough time for them, and hopefully they find some strength in the struggle as they move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll move forward into week 1 now. We call it week 0. Now we're in week 1 of high school sports. Couple of games. I'm going to go 5 again. You get a pick. I get a pick. Week 1 local games. The first one, you got Central and Lamar. Central and Lamar. I think that's going to be a pretty good matchup there. The second one, local high school football game, Chesterfield and Great Falls. The third, Darlington and North Myrtle Beach. The fourth one, Scotland at Richmond. The reason I can't wear green this week, apparently. And the last local game of the week, Cheraw and Marlboro County.
Yeah. That's the one I'm waiting on. I said to myself when we started this, I was not going to really pick Cheraw because Cheraw, that's my game of the week every week, right? That's my team. But this matchup, I think, will tell a lot about us. So I think this week for me, I got to go Cheraw, Marlboro County, because I'm also from Marlboro County originally, and I graduated from Cheraw. So I know everybody on both sides of this thing. So, but I think this is going to tell a lot about Cheraw and what we can and can't do. Marlboro County's obviously got a great football team. We've seen them play, Friday night. They put up a lot of points. So that's my game of the week, Matt.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to stay away from picking Cheraw because I love them every week. But I'm very interested in this one. We'll be there Friday night. So.
I will allow you to pick this one as your game of the week. You get one, and you only get one Florida game this season too to pick as the game of the week. So I'll give you this one. Cheraw, big win, scored a lot of points. Marlboro County, big win, scored a lot of points. I think it's going to come down to defense. I think it's going to come down to who can slow down the other offense.
Yeah.
Obviously they say defense wins championships, offense puts fans in the stands. So we'll see. We'll see how those defenses turn out this week. My pick this week, I'm not going to pick Scotland ever. I'm just not. But obviously that's a big rivalry game. I'm excited about it. We're playing at Richmond, coming off of a big win. We got to figure it out. But my game of the week for the local area is going to be Darlington at North Myrtle Beach. You can say what you want. I've said it before. I'm drinking the Jamie Johnson Kool-Aid. I got faith in him.
You already know this before the season started. I'll give you that.
I did. I said it. I watched them scrimmage Dylan. Saw some great things out of them. I think that that's going to be a good matchup. Darlington headed down to North Myrtle Beach, early season matchup there. But I think that Darlington has got it figured out. They've got some great coaches, some great guys there that we both know, right? But I do think that Darlington is one to keep an eye on, so I'm going to take them this week as the game of the week.
I like it. A lot of good games, though, man. And again, want to wish everybody luck this week playing, obviously, and hope everybody gets the outcome that they want.
Well, that's impossible. Nobody's going to.
They won't. I kept that generic.
Yeah. Well, that'll wrap up the local games, the local high school games for the week. We went through and reviewed, and now we've got our picks. So again, you've got Cheraw, Marlboro County, Darlington, North Myrtle Beach for me. Looking forward to seeing all the matchups. I love getting on Twitter or X and scrolling and finding the scores and finding the crazy plays and finding the highlights after the games. But that'll close us out for the high school sports, and we'll take that straight into our interview with our two special guests at the same time this week. Phillip, I'm going to let you introduce them when they get on. And we are back now, joined by two very special guests. Phillip Leviner's been dying and waiting for this moment. It's his time to shine. So, Phillip, I'm going to let you introduce these guys.
Look, you know every week I get on here, Matt, I have to talk about my Braves first. So super glad to have this week. We got head football coach, Mr. Andy Poole of the Cheraw Braves, assistant running back coach, running back coach, assistant offensive line coach, booster club president, golf coach, Coach Damian Ashe. Thank you guys for being here, man.
Good evening. Happy to be here.
Good evening.
So real quick, I want to start this week by just asking you guys a couple quick questions and really talk some football. First of all, we'll start with you, Coach Poole. Real quick, who are you and what's your background, bud?
I'm Andy Poole. I graduated from Cheraw High School in '98. Started my teaching career in Anson County and came across the lines back to my alma mater and have been here ever since 2006, I believe. So I'm a special ed teacher and head football coach, and I worked a long time under head coach Johnny White, and learned a good bit from him. And now I'm learning just as much from my assistant coaches as I do from anybody else. So I got a good crowd around me.
That you do. I love it. Coach Ashe?
Damian, born and raised here in Cheraw. Went to Newberry, played there, and went to Coastal, played there. I moved back to Cheraw. I was manager at the bank for 10 years. So I coached recreation football, and Poole told me my last year in recreation, if he got the head coaching job, he was going to hire me to help out at the high school. So I made a transition to the high school, coached football, and then took over and helped with golf. I teach computer programming at the high school. So totally enjoying it, and glad he hired me to come along and help out. So I enjoy coaching the running backs and helping Bohillian out with the linemen. So it's been a pleasure.
Man, it's hard to believe it's been that long, Ash, because I remember you helped me set up the bank account for the Kelly Keith tournament when you was a banker.
Yeah.
And now you're on the sidelines, and glad to have you over there, man. So going into some questions, and again, the theme this week is strength in the struggle, right? So the question I have for coaches, and I love being around a lot of coaches. I love picking you guys' brains. First of all, I don't think people truly understand the amount of time you guys put in the classroom and on the sidelines, and even today, meetings and getting deep, prepping for these games to get judged by wins or losses, right? That's usually the way it comes down. Unfortunately, society's going to look at you on Friday nights and you either win or you either lose. So I'm starting to really find a newfound in-depth gratitude for you guys and the hours you put in around these kids, developing young men, first of all, right? So how do you guys find strength in the struggle when it isn't going well and the season isn't going well and the fans are upset? Obviously, when you win, when you lose or things don't go your way, how do you guys find it when you get back in that room together to find strength when the world seems to be against you guys?
Well, I'll let Damian attack that first, and then I'll chime in.
Well, one big thing I think is that we tell our players that, we're family. We're all a family. Coaching staff, we're a family. So, we have to take up for each other. And things are not always going to be wonderful. So, you may hear from your parents at home. You may hear it from your brothers at home, your cousin, the people in the school building. But again, it's, as long as we stick together, we've had a lot of positive outcomes come. Even when we haven't had great seasons at the beginning of the year, because if we stick together, we're stronger together. So that's one thing we try to tell the people and our players and as coaches and stuff like that we're one big family. And I truly believe that any of the players on the team, they know we'll do anything for them. We've had a lot of tragedies happen since we've been coaching. And we've always been there for the kids, and we'll continue to be there. Kids reach out to us even after high school. So, being that strong support for them is one big thing right there. But I guess keeping the mindset of, being one big family, it's one positive thing that we can say with Cheraw High School and the football team there that keeps us away from all the outside noise that we constantly see or hear.
Absolutely, man. Coach Poole, you want to chime in? Don't worry about him.
Yeah, it kind of caught me off guard. I was like, whoa. No, this is the biggest thing. In life in general, any sports, you got to block out outside noise. We're in this for the experiences. If I wanted to schedule wins for the first 5 games of the year, what would that get us going into region? We'd have a false sense of everything. A lot of coaches, they want to schedule for wins. We want to schedule for experience. So we want to play the best. We want to show these kids nice stuff. Why do you think we're going to River Bluff? It's a small college. We want to show those guys things like that. Wins don't get you a whole lot of experience if you're blowing people out. So we want to go in there. We want to have, character wins. We want to have character losses like the Conway game last year. We would have never won games we did if we would have not have lost that ball game because we were able to overcome a lot of things, teach the kids. They realized they were making mistakes. It wasn't like they were making excuses. They realized they were making mistakes. They cured all that stuff. A lot of kids grew up that game even though we lost and ended up snowballing for us in a good way. So usually that's the way we work. We want to schedule some hard games up front, so we're prepared for the regional. I'd rather get my tail kicked the first 5 games of the year and know exactly where we are and know where we need to fix things, than have a false sense of ourselves and go into region and lose a couple games we shouldn't lose.
Right. Good stuff, man. I mean, and that makes perfect sense. Again, I think it's unfair a lot of times for the way society does things. Right? It's wins and losses, and you don't see the time that goes in. I'll kick it over to Matt for a question or two.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know, and they thought, when I was at Chesterfield that me and Coach Poole hated each other or whatever because of the rivalry. We've actually been friends for a while, even before that. But great to have you on, Coach. First and foremost, thank you for joining us this new venture and this newfound faith that I've attacked head on. Obviously, I mean, I'm just being honest with you, and I can get off air and tell both of you more stories about what's going on and why my life has changed. And some of it too with St. Andrews. But I do want to get into some of your players, man. I think some of your guys need some shout outs, some light. I could probably name a bunch of them that scored a bunch of touchdowns against me last year, but I'll let you do that.
Well, we have some good kids, man. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people don't know that a lot of our kids on our football team are Beta Club kids and honor roll kids. I mean, we had 77 kids last year out of 83 in our program make the honor roll. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive, man. I mean, when you're doing eligibility, you have to worry about grades and stuff like that and make sure they're eligible. It was really easy this year as well. We have a ton of kids in Beta and a ton of kids on the honor rolls. We have really good kids. We don't have, no trouble, anything like that. A lot of problems. A lot of people would love to have our problems. You know what I mean? But on the offensive side of the ball, we feel like we got some explosive guys on offense. This year it might be our fastest team we've had in a long time. We've had some fast guys over in the past, but we're really skill heavy. Nick Gordon and Slick Isaac and Cam Myers and Jihad Lee and Kamari Q and I mean I could go on and on and on. And our running backs Justin Joint and Jaquel Fields and Jamarion Banks and I'm sure I'm missing somebody. I know Coach Ashe is going to be able to chime in here in a minute, but those guys they've got an opportunity to take it to the house anytime they touch it. And the other night we threw a bunch of bubbles and slants and stops, and they were to break a tackle and go to the house with it. So I think that's going to be a major way we're going to be able to open up the playbook. Some is use the pass to open up the run, and not the other way around, which has been the way in the past for us. We'd have to run the ball, and then kind of get they tight in the box, go over the top. But we got guys that can catch it in space and, make guys miss, and we can go to the house with it. So, we're excited about the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. And we got guys who cause problems. Our defensive front's going to be very good this year. Crawford Poole and Anthony Strong and Xavion Sims and Kai Streeter's our starting four. And those are probably four of the best, some teams are going to be able to see. And, they're very fast and they cause a lot of disruption. And we got two linebackers that's new to the game, but not new to experience. I mean, Brendan Pace has been in there 3 years, and Austin Adams is stepping right in there. And our secondary is very athletic. With Slick Isaac's probably going to play some both ways. Nick Gordon's probably going to play both ways. Some Cam Myers. We got some guys coming in. DJ McQueen. DJ James is going to be great for us. He made like 3 tackles on special teams for us the other night. Who else I'm missing? Cam Foster's going to give us some minutes back there. Terrence Blackman's going to give us some minutes back there. Jihad Lee's going to give us some minutes back there. Trip Mabry's coming back for the 3rd year. We got some guys, that's got a lot of experience, but they just haven't been the guy. So that's what these first 5 games we're going to figure out, how they respond as being the guy. And, not looking for somebody else to make the play. They're going to have to be the guys making the plays.
Coach Ashe?
Hey, he did a great job right there. But I think I caller Caden Thomas. He's grown leap and bounds, man. Uh, Sophomore, and the things that he did the second half of the season last year, and what we're able to do in our passing and run game and play calling ability. We won't lead into all of that and go into the schematics of it. But he's doing a wonderful job, man. And right now we're extremely proud of him. And that offensive line that we have, again, the hardest positions on the field because all five of them have to gel together. And by the time they've heard it from Coach Poole and heard it from Coach Bo and heard it from me, they just keep responding back, and they want to get better. A lot of our players on our team, again, they want to be better. And normally you have a cancer on your team, and it's we can't point one out, and that is one positive things to the upbringing of these kids, and how the community is helping out on these kids too. And shout out to Gunny too, on the ROTC guy. I mean, we got two guys that didn't play football last year that are gonna make a lot of plays this year. And Gunny was one of the major leaders in that. Never giving up on those kids and staying beside those kids. And that the guy that's gonna be on the defensive line and receiver and spur. We definitely have to congratulate Gunny on with the ROTC program and keeping those guys' heads and faith strong as well.
Just a little input on our offensive line. They are 5 new starters, and their last meaningful snaps at all were on JV. So they've gotten better every single game. Preseason they played really well against McBee, and we got some monsters coming up as far as who we're playing on the schedule. So there's going to be some growing pains, and there's going to be some situations where we have to do a ton of in-game coaching. But these kids take constructive criticism very well, and they work extremely hard at practice. And it helps with KT being back there. He makes all the right calls for us. Like second half of the season last year, in the last 7 games, he was 15 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and those 2 interceptions were tip balls. So he's just carried on. He's going to be that leader, and somebody's going to be lucky to have him at the next level.
Look, I was there Friday night, for the most part of the game, and I'm going to tell you, it didn't look like y'all missed on much. And Matt and I were talking before we brought you guys on. We don't, I think we both agree. We don't think McBee's a bad team by no means. I think in region play, they're a really good football team, right? But Cheraw just looked different to me this year. Nick on being so explosive. You're right. You threw a lot of screens, and they were able to just turn them into big plays. The punt return, man, I'm gonna tell you, from the time he caught it, from the time he was across the goal line, I don't know if I blinked, and he was there. He's quick, man. So a lot of positives there for you guys. You guys did a great job. I do want to throw something at you that I think is real big in football. And one is, again, we're going back to relationship building, right? Y'all have a great opportunity and responsibility as coaches and leaders to get young men from all backgrounds, all different situations. How do you guys find it to foster those young men into being great athletes, but being great young men coming from all different backgrounds? How do you find it? Because I know the football locker room has got to be a very diverse, fun, crazy, atmosphere. How do you wrangle that all in, guys?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it goes into a lot of our coaching staff. I think we have great guys. We have great coaches, but they're great men too. Every year, you have your little groups of kids that kind of flock to a coach or whoever, or, we have several kids that almost we adopt during the season that come to us with problems. If they need, coach, I left my girdle at home, because you go to some coaches, they're going to flip out, yada, yada, yada. It ain't worth all that. Just get what they need. Sometimes the juice ain't worth the squeeze. Get what you got to get and go with it. But, these kids have learned. It's a learning process for us. We know which kids we can get on harder than others. We know how we can talk to some. Some are going to come to us after practice and ask questions. And then you got to pull the questions out of some, because they just feel like they're inferior if they have to ask these questions. But it's an open door policy for us. And I think all of our coaches do a great job of expressing that to them and opening the doors of communication with them.
Yeah, and I'll agree. Again, building relationships, and that's what we're doing more than just building football players. We're building great men and creating those relationships with those guys, and that's the most important thing. And the image like that, portrays amongst the other players on our team. I saw one kid the other day. He had 5 kids on the back of his truck. He's going to drop them off, so they didn't have to walk. And they stay on different sides of town, but they know we're a family and we build relationships. So, that was humbling and very important as well too.
Yeah. Matt, back to you for another question, sir.
Yeah. So, you guys know the title of this new show, Armor Up Athletics. Put on the full armor of God to protect yourself against the devil's evil plans. What do you guys personally do, to armor up daily, whether that be spiritually, for the team, for your kids? What do you do daily to armor up to attack your day?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. We got to be prepared for anything. We don't know what's walking through those doors. We don't know when's the last meal these kids have eaten. We don't know how late they had to stay up keeping up a little brother or a little sister until the mom got home from work or the father got off third shift. We don't know any of these problems until they hit our door. And that's what we were just talking about, building relationships. We have to be prepared for anything because we don't know. And the outside community does not know either. I mean, I've taken kids home on several occasions where the drop cord was one run from one house to a power pole, 200, 300 feet away. And that it almost made me, it destroyed me to see that, because you never know that kid had it so bad because he was such a good spirit. He worked extremely hard. He made good grades. You would never pick him out of the crowd saying this kid right here's got a terrible home life. But, these kids, they're doing the best of what they can, to be successful. And and our coaches are busting their tail to give them an opportunity to be successful. And if you took these exact kids in Chesterfield County, I'm not talking about Cheraw, I'm talking about Cheraw, Mackbee, Chesterfield, and Pageland. If you took those exact kids to Dutch Fork High School, they will be just successful, because that's how good of kids they are, because they've already fought the battle before they hit the field.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's just, listening to the kids and being that ear that they can speak to. I think that's important. Instead of thinking, sometimes as the older person, we may think we know it all, have done it all, have heard it all, and, just listening and being compassionate to some of those kids and understanding what kids and how the kids respond, is a big thing. And, one thing I try to do, on the way to school every morning is I say my prayer, for my family and everything that I'm involved with throughout the day. And sometimes I fall short of it, but trying to of that. But again, as far as with the kids, I think it's just being there for them, and being that shoulder they can cry on, or come to for $5 or $20 to get something to eat, so knowing that somebody's there for them, just like the Lord is there for us. So.
Look, that's great words, man. And again, me and Matt talk all the time that a year ago, God and spiritual coming out of our mouths would have been so far-fetched. So to tell you how the Lord works through people all the time to get us on this podcast and on this ministry that we're trying to do, he also works through you guys every day. You have a great impact on young men, that see you, up on a pedestal, so to speak. You guys are sometimes the only positive thing that they see. So we want to commend you guys for the job that you're doing, for being the leaders that you are. I know you guys, being coaches can take a beating and a lashing sometimes, but, again, there's a lot of people out here that appreciate everything that you guys do, especially being an athlete myself. And I can look back, my career playing for Coach Jolly, and I wasn't the best kid to coach, but I remember that man being so patient and so, so kind. And even 30 something years later, I still think a lot of that man. And he had a lot to do with helping me get on the right track, so, 100%, man. Thank you guys for being those leaders and those role models. Matt, you got any other questions? If not, I got one last one if you got one more.
Yeah, I got one final question. You got a big matchup. Big matchup this week, Marlboro County, kind of a rivalry game there historically, right? Back and forth. Both of you guys scored a lot of points in your week 0 matchups. Do you think it's going to come down to who can stop who, or what you think going into this without giving away too much? Because I know you ain't going to give away too much, just like I wouldn't.
I'm going to be honest. Marlboro's got some great players, man. Like they always do. They've got twice our student body, and they're going to have more athletes than us, and they're going to look the part. Those coaches do a great job of motivating them, and they've switched schemes up this year, more of a misdirection, wing tee, double slot deal, and on defense they're going to be very aggressive and from what we've seen on film, they're going to try to keep things in front of them and let their guys fly around and make plays, which, good teams are going to do that. I think it's going to be a good game. I hope we have a humongous crowd here Friday night. Just a reminder, students get in with $2 and senior citizens are $2. And we need to pack the house and have a hostile environment for the crowd coming in. But, I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's a measuring stick for us. I think it's going to show us exactly where we are, and, it's not going to hurt us in region standing. So, this is more of a game. It's not going to make or break your season, but it was definitely make it as far as confidence going forward.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a good game. Again, we'd love to see a packed house. I know those kids, they look up in the stands, and, when you have a packed house and see all the support out there, that helps the players even, play a little harder right there. So, we'd love to see as many people as we can get out there. But again, it's, second game of the season, so it's kind of hard to really tell, what everyone has and what everyone is doing. So I guess just like in life, we got to be able to make those adjustments in games. So just like with the Lord, we'll have to make those adjustments with our life. So we'll definitely have to make some adjustments. But also too, the main thing this week is we want to get better with us and get better as a player, get better at your position. And that's what we're going off of. And of course, we would love to come out with a victory, but we want to get better and better so we can be in this thing into early December. So,
well, being from Marlboro County but graduating from Cheraw, people ask me, "Am I torn in this game?" And I tell them all the time, I didn't go to Marlboro County. I went to Wallace. So no, I'm not torn. I know exactly where my heart lies. But my last question, I'm going to take something from Matt this week. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit, Matt. Who is the best fan and advocate from Cheraw for Cheraw football, and why is his name Phillip Leviner?
Well, you got us on the show before Marlboro, so I guess you won up in that situation. I can always count on you, no matter whether we're winning or losing. It's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. Keep a level head, keep going forward, better day by day, and keep doing the job we're supposed to be doing with these kids. Eventually, we'll break through. So, and I appreciate that. You're always a level head, a calming spirit, so to speak.
Well, it's been a journey for myself too, right?
But we definitely appreciate your support. And, I was telling a coach on the sideline the other day, and I can't think of the gentleman's name right now, but I was like, man, I've known him since I've been a little boy. And you look around and you see those same guys showing up. I saw Buster the other day down there. You keep seeing those same people, Phillip, you're there, So we have a lot of loyal fans, and we appreciate it, even on the ups and downs. We definitely appreciate the support.
Well, that's what it's about, man. And I think with growth in the way that I think I have grown over the last, 6 months, but especially over my life, I think you always got to remember a few things. Loyalty's one, friendship's another. That don't come as often as people think it does. People throw those words around a lot, right? But are they really there for you when you need it? And we're just excited to see you guys down there and see you getting fired up. When I walked in McBee the other night, the kids were just fired up. They were chanting, they were ready. You guys were out there with them, man. It's football season, right? It's time to strap up and go, man. I didn't play a lot of football. I was more of a baseball guy, but like Matt said, this is our favorite time of year, man. This is it. You look forward to it. And I'll be there Friday night with my boys, and we want to wish you guys good luck, just like everybody in the county. We're going to pray for safety for the players and the coaches, and have a good game. And all I can say is go Braves.
Thanks, guys. I do want to throw out one thing. As everybody knows, recent tragedy struck McBee High School, and I just want everybody to raise them up in your thoughts and prayers. And that community and volleyball team and school is just going through it right now. And we've had to bury 3 players, and it is a gut wrenching thing. And I know exactly how they're feeling. So if you guys have a time during your day where you're doing some meditating or some prayer or whatever, it was be great to lift those guys up.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier on the show too, but we'll definitely keep that family and that school and that community in our prayers, man. Chesterfield County's been hit hard on early, even from Central. Now to this. So,
It's bigger than sports, man. I mean, these kids are giving everything they got, to make people happy. And at the end of the day, when something like this happens, what's it matter? You know what I mean? We should be here for each other no matter what. And it's fun. It's fun to have a rivalry in between the chalk lines. But once it gets out of that, we need to have more family than anything. Because at the end of the day, we're all we have.
That's right. Absolutely. Matt, any wrap up from you, buddy?
No, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on, man. I am rooting for you. I do appreciate y'all taking the time and coming on, man. Good luck the rest of the way. Good luck this week. And I know that you guys are going to be ready and grow and learn from this no matter what happens.
Absolutely, guys. Thank y'all. We'll need to go out for lunch, and we can do it at the lunch table one day.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, guys, thank y'all again, and good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Go Braves.
Oh, man, what a great time with those two guys, Phillip. I know that's like one of your dreams. I mean, next to interviewing Billy Napier, it's got to be up there on the list for you.
Yeah, Steve Spurrier, Urban Meyer, Billy Napier, Coach Poole, Coach Ashe, top 5.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean,
But I'm with Coach Quinn every week now, so that's a dream come true in itself.
No, man, two good guys that do it the right way, that do it for the right reasons, not about wins and losses. It's about those kids, and you could just see that and hear that and feel that, and just me watching from opposite sideline at times, but they do it the right way, and I know you've witnessed that firsthand as well, being in the community.
Yeah, it's I joke around with those guys a lot because I've known them for so long. That sometimes you don't get to see that vulnerability and that sincerity that we got just then. So it's it's there. I've always known it's there, but every time that we're around, it's more joking, cutting up with each other. So it's good to get down and feel that sometimes. But again, love those guys to death. Wish them all the success in the world. Big Taz Friday night, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're definitely in for a battle. But crazier things have happened. Who knows what's going to happen? That's why you play the game. It's not about what's on paper. We're going to see who can find strength in the struggle Friday night.
All right, I guess it's time to move on to
college football. We had a few games, right?
We had a few. We did. And I watched most of them, even though I didn't know who some of them were. I did find out that Incarnate Word was the number 4 ranked team who lost to Nichols.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I actually ended up watching a good part of that game. So.
Yeah, that was, seeing a top 4 ranked team go down early. But it's early. Those rankings at the beginning don't mean much. I mean, you've said it before. It's easier to get to the top if you start somewhere near the top, but it's not impossible.
No.
And we looked at the breakdown last week of the 5 FBS games that were out there. But how about Hawaii Stanford? Hawaii pulling off a stunner, 23-20.
The kicker learned to kick watching YouTube videos. That's a true story. I read after the game. The kid had never played football in his life, somehow got introduced to it, watched YouTube videos and learned to kick and got on scholarship and just won the game for Hawaii over Stanford.
Unbelievable.
Crazy. It's football.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Oh, man. I guess you can learn a lot on YouTube. Maybe if somebody can learn about Jesus on Armor Up podcast on YouTube, that would be cool too. But that's a wild story for sure. Our 2 picks for game of the week, I had Sam Houston and Western Kentucky. The final score not really indicative of how well that game was played and how tight that ball game really was. The final score 41-24. Western Kentucky won, but early on and even into the third quarter, you had some flashes of good things from Sam Houston. They, proud of Coach Tone. Will never not be proud of him, and I think that with him and that coach staff, they'll bounce back. But your game of the week, Kansas. You were big on the Kansas train, and they took care of business 31-7 over Fresno. Did you see the things that you wanted to see out of Kansas?
Well, Fresno, I thought come out and did some really good things. But Kansas, to me, Kansas has always been like their big basketball program. Everybody knows who Kansas is, but the football teams never been really tried to get over that hump. They had a couple good years here. I love their red uniforms, by the way. But, I just wanted to see if they could come out and really deliver what they were supposed to do. And I think they did. They kind of checked all the boxes for me. Now, again, a long season ahead. Fresno, good opening up. I thought they did some good things too. But, yeah, kind of checked all the boxes for me. I thought they looked really, really good. So we'll see how they continue to go on.
Yeah. Heading into week one now, college football. We've got some big matchups starting off. On Saturday, you've got number 1 Texas at number 3 Ohio State. You've got number 9 LSU at number 4 Clemson. Moving to Sunday, you've got South Carolina against Virginia Tech in Atlanta, neutral site game. Thursday night, you've got East Carolina, North Carolina State. And then another one I put on the list of the 5 that we'll, kind of break down and preview or whatever, is Saturday, Coastal Carolina at Virginia. So those are the 5. And like always, we're going to have our college game of the week. So what are you thinking there, Phillip?
I can't believe you didn't put Florida on there.
No. Even you said.
Honestly, my game of the week this week, there's 2 parts to this. One, if I could show you the 972 texts that I have in a group that I have a bunch of with some Carolina Clemson fans, I'm taking the LSU Clemson game. So it's an SEC ACC battle with a bunch of my friends going back and forth. Clemson Carolina fans going at it, but I am very interested in this game. And I believe the Tigers are going to win. Let me just say that up front. No way that the Tigers do not win this football game. But I think LSU is a little suspect at quarterback. I don't know that Nuss is the Heisman guy that they're building him up to be. We'll see. Burrow kind of did the same thing. He had a pretty bad year, and then he came back and won that and did it up. Maybe they see that, maybe they don't. I'm kind of suspect of Cade Klubnik. Is he going to be the guy? Is he going to step in there and do what everybody says he can do? So I think this is a very intriguing week 1 matchup for 2 great football teams that have a great chance of being in the playoffs. I think we know if Clemson handles business, they'll be in the playoffs. If LSU doesn't slip like they've done in the past, they should probably be in the playoffs. So good week 1 matchup, man. That's my pick of the week, LSU Clemson.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the number 1 Texas, number 3 Ohio State matchup. Big rematch starting off, the first game of the season. There's some question marks at Ohio State and Texas, Arch Manning, those guys. I think that you can't pick a, quote, game of the week and not have a 1 versus 3 matchup on the list. I mean, you got a 9-4 on your pick, and that's fine because you got some Clemson guys that you're buddies with. But 1 and 3, I don't know what other game if there's multiple games on at one time and 1 versus 3 is playing, I think you're going to tune over to that one, or you're going to have at least multiple TVs pulled up where you've got 1 and 3 on.
Well, I am anxious to see Arch Manning play. This kid is obviously comes from a rich history, great family, great genes. Sit on the bench for 2 years now, making $3 million plus on NIL money. So I'm ready for him to get in there and spin the pigskin and let's see what he's got. Some people are predicting a blowout. I don't know. I mean, I'm never like high on the Big Ten, but that's just being an SEC guy, I guess. But Ohio State has been real here lately. Look, I knew you were probably going to pick that one too. That's why I went with the Clemson game. So one of us was going to pick the 1-3 matchup, right?
I mean, I can adjust on the fly. I can make a change. I'm just letting you go ahead and take your picks, baby. I just roll with it. Man.
And that I'm definitely going to be watching the 1-3 matchup.
Yeah. Man, it's been a good one, Phillip. I've enjoyed tonight's episode, our guest, our message of strength in the struggle. Again, if you want to go look up those messages, those verses yourself, I had Philippians 4:13 and James 1:2 through 4, dealing with strength in the struggle, finding your way. Struggles are not meant to defeat us, but to develop us is the big thing that I want you to take away from my verses and our message of strength in the struggle. And then I said it at the beginning, what feels like pressure today is producing power for tomorrow. And I truly and firmly believe that, because we go through those struggles and we feel like we're not going to be able to get out of it. But at some point, if you got faith and you believe and you pray and you work through it with God, you're going to come out on top. It might not be the top that you thought. It might not be the college job that I thought. But look, I'm happy and I am at peace with where I'm at with my spiritual walk with Christ.
And yeah, and mine, again, recapping Exodus 14:14, the Lord fights for you. You need only to be still. Jeremiah 29:11, for know I have plans for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and the future. And those two, to me, strength in the struggle. Sometimes you got to let the Lord fight for you. There's a bigger plan out there that obviously we don't always understand. I know there are people out there in the community this week that are hurting, that don't understand. And again, I want to send so many prayers and love to the MACB community, to Central, and know that the Lord is fighting for you, and place your trust in Him. Again, it goes a verse that always sticks out is lean not on our own understanding, right? But find strength in the struggle. We're sending you love and prayers to find that strength. Everybody out there who's hurting, who's having challenges, who's facing struggles, like Matt said, you have to understand that you may not get the outcome you want, but you're going to get the outcome God wants. And if you surrender yourself to Him and you open your eyes to Him, you'll understand that He's not going to leave $100 bills on your table, but He may give you plenty of opportunities to go make that sack full of $100 bills. And it may not be the job that you want for now. It may be the job that you need for now. Again, I'm going through that myself. Career-wise is not where I want it to be. Trusting God to intervene, and I think it's going to work out. I believe it's going to work out, and I'm finding strength in that struggle. And we wish, everybody much success and much happiness. Unfortunately in life, our ways aren't His ways, and our plan is not of His plans. And again, when you find yourself struggling, guys, I'm going to leave you with this. Stop, right? Just get in silence, get on your knees, and just stop and find God. Find God in the midst of your troubles. And He may not deliver you at that moment, but I can promise you after this week, He's going to cheer you up and make sure that He's got His arm around you. And you'll know it. So that's my message for the week, Matt. Again, thank you for being a friend, a co-host on here. Thank you for being there this week with the phone calls. Thank you for everybody viewing. 29,000. That's still a mind-boggling number, man. And everybody's teams, good luck this week. Yeah. And can't wait, man. Ready. I'm already ready for it to be Friday.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, Phillip. This journey is going to be a step-by-step process. It's not going to be always roses and Hershey chocolates, right? There's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be some things that we go through, and just know that I'm here for you. And just like I know you're here for me when I go through some things as well. So if that's it for you, we'll close it in prayer. Dear Lord, we ask that you give strength to those in struggle. Big struggle, little struggle, doesn't matter what you're going through, what you're facing. Give them strength in these hard times. We pray for MACB and their community. We pray for Central and their community. There's a lot of bad things going on. We hope that you give them strength in this struggle, Lord. We pray for health this week. We pray for safety of our football teams and our coaches. And we thank you for everything you've done for us and everything you're going to do for us, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen, brother. And once again, good to see you. Armor Up Athletics. Check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. Love you guys.